Ahmad Rahami, the Muslim man accused of setting bombs in New York and New Jersey 2 weeks ago, says he was inspired by Osama bin Laden and other Islamic extremists. The father of Rahami says he told the FBI 2 years ago he feared his son was a terrorist. This week, Homeland Security Chief Jay Johnson said the threat of lone wolf attacks, inspired by but not officially linked to a terror group, keeps him up at night. A recent Full Measure Rasmussen Reports poll asked, can the U.S. ever be safe from lone wolf attacks? Almost 3/4 said no. To date, the terrorists are doing a better job recruiting than we are redeeming. Scott Thuman traveled to England to meet one man who is making a difference.
Is where these young men are playing here is that's where I used to run a soccer club.
Follow Jahan Mahmood long enough and you are bound to find yourself in what over the years has been a breeding ground of aspiring terrorists.
The population here is predominantly Muslim, more than 80%. They tend to come from areas of Pakistan and Kashmir.
On this day, he takes us through Birmingham, a couple of hours north of London, and where the former military history professor does most of his work, trying to de-radicalize young men.
I mean, in this area alone, this area at one point had the largest number of terrorist convictions in the country.
But your whole goal is to stop them from getting to the point that they actually go overseas.
Absolutely.
You feel you're being successful?
Well, the people that I do know of who I've stopped is about 7.
Like this 26-year-old who, to protect his identity, we're calling Cameron.
When it all kicked off after September 11,
And you wanted to get to the battlefield?
once to get to the battlefield, that was the main aim, you know.
To fight back, to kill British, to kill Americans?
Of course, yeah. If that's what it would have taken, yeah.
That's what Jahan is trying to temper. He says in this area, where signs are often in Urdu and Arabic voices dominate the soccer fields, roughly 40% of those living here are under 18. They are impressionable, easy targets for ISIS recruiters. He recalls one instance involving a handful of teens.
He was watching, he had actually on his phone, he had downloaded the beheading of Ken Bigley, who was a British contractor in Iraq. And I was shocked to see these young men, a number of them huddled around watching and laughing. And I just couldn't understand why they would laugh over the beheading of an innocent man. It just didn't make sense.
The Guardian newspaper claims 800 Britons left the country last summer alone to fight with the terror group. And just a week after our visit, 4 more alleged terrorists were arrested, 2 in this neighborhood.
Who did you want to fight with?
It was obviously, you know, against the West, you know, because we felt like they were destroying, you know, people's lives.
You were angry at America?
Yeah, obviously, and also the UK at the time.
Do you hear a lot of that anti-American sentiment?
I hear a lot. I mean, I have to be honest with you, is that I hear a lot of it, absolutely. And it's all based on conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria.
To counter that, through meetings sometimes organized at a local mosque or at this old pool hall, Jahan shows them sobering, graphic images of jihadists killed in battle, an example of what might come of them, and he points out that the terrorists often kill innocent Muslims.
That was a bit of a turning point for you when you started to realize that Muslims were also being a target of the terrorists?
Of the terrorists, yeah, definitely. It was, you know, it did make me think like, whoa, why would I go out there? It'd be stupid of me to go out there.
Jahan says winning over even one potential jihadist can have an incalculable effect.
Yeah, I mean, one of the conversations I recall having is that, right, here's your car keys. Would you really hand them over to a local person? Would you really do that? And yet you're handing your life over to someone on the internet that you've never met before. Why would you do that for?
But there's no perfect formula for de-radicalizing, and Jahan could use all the allies he can get. Imams, he says, are often falling short.
I do feel that religious leaders have failed in their religious duty to try and make their community safer, and they've not been able to engage properly.
It is gaining the upper hand, controlling the message that will be essential to turning the tide of radicalization in Britain, in Europe, and in the United States. The wins will be measured by individuals like Cameron. He's now 26 with a job, a wife, a child, and a future, one he was on the brink of gambling away.
You look back now and you think that you would have just been a number
Yeah,
That you're
definitely.
definitely
I would have been a non-ban. I would have been deleted at any time.
In this process of radicalizing, what is it they do or say to the youth that makes them willing to kill innocent people they've never met?
Well, keep in mind, they're typically preying upon young, impressionable men, and many times they're specifically focusing on any incident where there's a killing of a civilian or innocent Muslim, say, for example, an accidental bombing at a hospital, and they point to the West and always say, that is your enemy.
Fascinating. Thank you, Scott. Coming up, FBI Director Comey was called to Congress this week about his email probe, and we heard some surprisingly familiar questions about missing evidence.